is Indigo Dye Day here at Our Time to Quilt. I'm Deb Johnson, and let's start the process. All right, I am starting a brand new indigo vat. I have here probably 4.5 gallons of hot water, and to that I mixed 100 grams of soda ash. I have a little postal type scale, I guess it could be cooking scale, and I'm making sure to make careful measure of ingredients. Here is my sodium hydrosulfate, which will act as my reducing agent, and I now need to add 50 grams of reducing agent. I'm very careful to measure this out. All right, and then once I finish measuring it, I'm very careful to close it back up firmly, because it can be unstable in a wet environment. So I make sure to keep it safe. And I stir these ingredients each time to make sure that they fully dissolve. Don't get this stuff on your hands. Don't take a chance. Things like the soda ash, it's so alkaline, it would feel like it's burning your hands. And I have my gloves here that I'll be using in a moment. And I have paper towels so that I can keep everything clean. So now that I have measured my soda ash and my hydrosulfite, I'm ready to add 20 grams of my pre-reduced indigo. All right, got my 20 grams. Then I make sure to close this up. Here is, and in fact, I'm going to take and put a little bit of that water in and kind of get, they're kind of like crystals, so I'm kind of going to get that mixing started. All right, now try not to introduce too much oxygen to the water. So now what I'm going to do, I have to stir it. You see where it has a metallic sheen on the top? That is the oxidation that's happening just from the indigo solution being exposed to the air. And so you have to stir it to let the reducing agent, the sodium hydrosulfide, let that start the process of taking the oxygen out of this bath, because that's how indigo works. It will turn blue. In fact, you can kind of see the water has a greenish tint now. That means the hydrosulfide is doing really, or hydrosulfate, I forget, let me see. Hydrosulfite. It is getting the oxygen out of the water. So I'm just going along the edge here, carefully, making sure everything is fully dissolved, but not introducing. I don't want splashing. And you can see the bubbles that are kind of metallic and shiny. That is what's called the flower. And that is where part of that indigo has been reduced And then where the bubbles, metallic bubbles come up, that shows where it's being reoxygenated. Now I cover it. I'm going to leave it for a good half an hour. During the time that I'm leaving it, I'm going to fill a bucket here with water. So this will start soaking, pre-soaking my fabric. So you want the fabrics thoroughly pre-soaked. So it's not enough just to run them under water. You want them to be able to sit in this water for at least a half an hour before you begin the process. A fabric that is thoroughly wet does a more even job of dyeing, because the wet fabric allows the dye to move through at an even rate. I'm going to leave this here and let this soak good. Okay. Now, once I've taken all my fabric out to be dyed, then I have this pail that I'll sit it in and let it be oxidized. Then, when all the fabric has been thoroughly soaked, I will put vinegar in that rinse water, which will help secure the dye coloring. I'll see you in a bit. I am now taking and carefully dropping the things that I wish to dye into the dye bath. That was cotton rope. This is cotton ribbon. I squeeze out the excess water because I don't want to introduce any more oxygen than I have to into the dye bath. So I'm going to put a few things in and then go ahead and pull them out. Remember, water in the fabric contains oxygen, so I'd rather not introduce that. Now, if I notice that my fabrics are sinking to the bottom, I would want to hold on to them, because you don't want them to dredge up any solids that might be at the bottom. And the reason this is because it will cause splotching. Whoops, let me squeeze this out first. It'll cause unnecessary splotching onto the fabric. The ones with the marbles in become a little difficult to squeeze, but do the best job you can. Okay, and you try to keep the flour, this bubbly stuff, pushed to the side so it doesn't adhere too much to your fabric. Now, when these sit in here for just a while, then, and just probably 30 seconds or so, then I will take them out to oxidize and put them in this pail. And while these are sitting in here, I'm just going to cover the bath. I got my clamp put on my fabric with the resist, the plastic resist. Tighten the clamp down as hard as I can, and then I'm ready to put it in the dye bath. I'm going to take out a couple of my other things that I'd previously put in here, and I'm trying to rinse them off without causing dripping or anything going back into the dye bath. Carefully pulling it out. Okay, here's another. Oh, on my string. Let's get this. This is cotton tape, and I'm squeezing it out without letting it make a big splash. Okay. I'm letting these oxidize. I'm going to put this down into the dye bath, and I'm going to keep my stirrer very handy, because if I can make sure, if anything fell to the bottom, I can make sure to get it back up. So I'm checking the bottom carefully. You notice that everything I do, I'm trying very hard not to make splashes into the dye bath. Okay. Now, here is So I did have a couple things that ended up going down. Let me rinse these carefully. When you get the flour sticking to them, it can kind of affect. But you see they come out of the dye bath. It's so fascinating. It's one of the reasons it's so magical to me. And I'm careful that when I rinse them, I don't splash. And then I squeeze the water out carefully, put them in the bucket. And here you can see the green on the rope because until it fully oxidizes. Okay, put that back. I think that I get all of it out except the resist. Oh, no, I see something else in there. I'm being very careful to lift it up without splashing. You'll probably get tired of hearing me say that, but it's so important. The reason it's so important is because the more oxygen you get in the water, the sooner you can ruin your dye bath. And I have at least 5 yards of fabric here to dye. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to gently lower this into the dye bath. Okay, what else? And these, I'm going to have to, I need to put another clamp on this one. Okay. So I'm going to slip the clamp in, making sure that the resist plastic, the piece of plastic's right in the correct place. Then I'm going to tighten it back down, squeeze excess water out. All right. And got it firmly down, then I'm going to lower this in. This is a piece of folded up fabric that I sewed a design on. I'm going to gently lower that into the dye bath. I love how green the dye bath is. It shows that the soda ash has raised the pH, which helps the indigo to dissolve, and then it shows that the sodium hydrosulfate has well taken the oxygen out of the dye bath. Okay, so now I'm just going to give these a gentle stir. Okay, here is another gathered piece, gathered tightly with rubber bands. Aha. This is the one I'm looking for because I want to wrap it. Oh, actually this goes in like it does. And I'm noticing some of the colored popsicle sticks have run a little bit. I'm curious to wonder what that will do in the dye bath. This must be a glue resist piece that I did. I'm hoping it worked. We'll see. I worry that when you go to soak it, that the glue then softens up and no longer does a good job of resisting. This is a hot glue resist that I did. Very curious to see how this comes out. Oh no, this is a wax resist. Okay. This is a wax resist. And I'm noticing the flour is the flour, meaning the oxidized part, is getting onto the fabrics. So I'm probably going to have to stir them just a little more to get that off. All right. With this fabric, a special fold was done on it, and I happened to see this on a YouTube video from Taiwan. And so I'm going to Thailand. And it was wonderful. Now, I'm going to get some string to tie this up with. Okay, so now I'm wrapping this up, trying to maintain the fold that I made earlier. I'm hoping I still have it. And I'm doing it at a slight angle. Then I'm going to take this piece of string and tie it tightly around the fabric. Tie it nice and firmly around here. I'm going to put it then under the rubber take and put this string under. Let me pull these. I can't work with my gloves on. Let me pull off my gloves for a second. All right, so let me go under these rubber bands, put that string under there, and tie it so it will stay nice and tight. All right, now that I've got that, then you notice because the pole had been used before for indigo dyeing, it's getting a little dye on the fabric, but that's really not going to hurt anything because it's going to get a lot of indigo dye soon. All right, so I'm pulling the ropes very tightly, keeping this triangular fold that I have on here. Now I'm going to put the string under here, and then I can shove the fabric up like this to get nice, tight creases, tucking this back under, keeping everything tucked under. All right, there we go. Now this is ready to go in the dye bath. I have the hot glue gun resist. So let's see how this does. Squeezed it out really good, and here we go. Got another resist with a clamp on it, so I'm going to lower that down. If you notice, I have a little few white specks on the top of this. It's from the wax coming off the wax resist. Right, now this can go back in for its second tie. You really should keep the fabric from getting on the bottom of the bucket, but I have to be honest, it's a little hard to do here because I'm by myself and I can't get all of this done but so fast, so in such an organized way. Okay, this goes in its last tie. I'm going to make sure everything goes under the bucket, under the waterline. Whoops, that was a big air bubble. I've got to be a little more careful. I can always add a little bit more of the reducer. Okay, let this sit out. Oxidize. Here are the ones that I got a little while ago. Put back in the rice water. Oh, this one needs a little more oxidation time. So does this. Anywhere that the air doesn't touch, this is what happens. So I'm just going to let all this weight over this pipe. Okay. This one's ready to rinse. But isn't that interesting, the process that happens? The process that happens. Just waiting for the oxygen to get to the fabric. Here is this one. Just one more dyeing start off of this. So back in the rinse water it goes. Back in. Not in the rinse water yet. It hasn't finished oxidizing. I'll make sure to kind of pull it open just a little bit to get good oxygenation going before I put it in its last dye bath. Oh, this one looks pretty good. Put that in the rinse water. Now that one. This looks pretty good. That one looks pretty good. Okay. So it looks like we're doing good. All right. So for most of these, it just needs one more dip. And then, oh, not finished oxidizing yet. This one's not finished yet, so I think this one just about is. So I'll rinse this, lay this over the bucket. Okay, now, this can be rinsed. All right, I'm going to take this out to oxidize. I'm going to take all of these out. Oops, you know what? Okay, I think this is fine. This one out, it's oxidized. Yeah, this is the one that's going to be ombre, so I've got to be careful with that one. This one needs just a touch more rinse. This can be rinsed. All right, this is ready to oxidize. It's looking pretty good. It looks like I still have plenty of reaction happening in this, so I'm very happy with that. I'm looking to see if, whoops, no, don't get oxygen in it now. All right, so that looks pretty good. Oh, okay, so what I can do now is give this another dip. This is going to be my ombre. So I'm going to dip this 2/3 of the way in. Okay? 2/3 of the way in. Just lay it over here and let it. I have a feeling this resist wood is free to come out. Carefully lay it open. Oxidize. You can see it's really green. And it was really blue when I put it back in there. So let it oxidize. Now I've got the ombre resting one more time. This is ready to go in one more time. This fully oxidized, ready to be rinsed. Then bring it out, going one more time. All right, so I'm just going to keep doing this. I've got one more time. Then I will be able to take all of the things off of them to show you how exactly the resist works. How does putting marbles in this fabric make it work? Okay, this is my last go around with the dye. All right, I don't want to add too many more yet, so I'm just going to sit these right down here. Oh, look at this. That wax resist is nice. And I think once again, the glue doesn't work, and I think it's just mainly because you have to pre-soak the fabric, it dissolves the glue, and then the resist doesn't work. I'll get all of these out of the rinse bucket, and then I'm going to once again refill the rinse bucket. Okay. Right, I'll be back. Not too bad. I'm going to dump out my water now because all of my fabrics have been pre-soaked. Whoops. There's a little one I found. And I'm going to put that in. Look at that. That shows the difference in the green that comes right out of the dye and then the blue. In fact, this one now is oxidized, so I can put that in. Okay. Let's see if this, oh, it's almost oxidized. This now, sometimes you can kind of sway it in the breeze to help it oxidize a little faster. Let's see how this one did. Pretty good. And this little other bundle fully oxidized. All right. So I'm going to give all of these a good rinse, and then we will dip them back in the dye water. Here is my ombre. Now this time, I'm going to dip it in only for a third. What we get from our ombre experiment. All right. Now this is ready for its final dip. So is this one. And I think this one's had its final dip. I'll get these ready to be hung up. Oh, and before I hang them up, I've got to remember to do a vinegar rinse. I just learned that from some more research I did for this time. Now, you have to add 1 cup of vinegar per gallon. I'm not filling the bucket all the way up because the water gets blue so easily. But I did put that in, and now I can add everything that's had the 3 dips. Whoop, this isn't oxidized yet. I'll set that there. Whoop, this one's not quite oxidized. So I'll add these to the final vinegar rinse, and I'll probably do 1 more rinse water with vinegar for the other ones that have yet to come out. I'll let this oxidize. I forgot to let this one, but this is really interesting. I'll go ahead and let it oxidize for now. This one, very interesting. And you know, the thing I love most about dyeing with indigo, none of them are a mistake. They're just something different. I need to take this one off the pole because I need to put a new one. The last piece of fabric needs to go on here. So I cut loose the twine. All right, what I've been doing is, let me take this glove off so I can work better. I rolled the fabric. It's a little hard to deal with right now because it's wet. And since I only had 1 pipe, I had to kind of have the pipe ready to work pretty quickly, so I had to pre-soak my fabric. So now I've got the rubber band right in the middle. So what I did is I laid my fabric on the point and I rolled it, keeping it relatively smooth. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is take and put this string under the rubber band, tie it to the rubber band. 1 loop is enough. And then I'm going to tightly wrap the string around the fabric. And this all will be made very clear in a little bit. Okay. All right. So I'm going to roll this twine very tightly around the fabric. And stop it at this point, because I need to now scrunch this part of the fabric so I can continue to roll the edge. So I'm just going to take and make a little loop right here. Okay, I'll make a little loop so that will keep it relatively snug. Then, let's see if I can put it down. I have put it down and I'm scrunching. Now, let me show you something. Okay, so I'm scrunching this back to the middle. So I have room now to smooth this out and keep running the string around it. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want it relatively smooth at first. There we go. Then I need to grab my rubber band. I'll put my rubber band around the end. And now finish scrunching it all the way down. And if you end up with a little tail like this little tail, then just take the rubber band, pull it out. Whew, these are hard to do. Everything's very tight. Put it up, scrunch it, put it under the edge of the rubber band. So now I'm going to finish with the other end of the pipe, and then we'll put it in the dye bath. That I would I would make sure to keep track of all the different things I did and show you the result. And guess what? I forgot. I'm so sorry. I'll have to see if I could go back to Thursday's show. But this was a technique, a folding technique that I learned from a YouTube video from Thailand. They were doing a special, oh, look at this. Isn't that wonderful? And it was a special accordion fold, then folding a triangle one way, folding it a triangle the other, on down the line, then putting it on the big PVC pipe, and then scrunching it down tightly. So, that is wonderful. Now when I'm done showing you these, I'll then take time to hang them up, and then we'll go one by one and see them. Okay, here is one of the ones that I folded, accordion fold, then did accordion, accordion triangle fold, okay? I love that the popsicle sticks are now a beautiful indigo, wherever the indigo touched. Look at this. Now, you'll notice you see some green, but watch what happens. It's going to happen pretty quickly. Watch everything start to turn blue as it absorbs oxygen. I think this is pretty special, isn't it? All right, I'll lay that down and pick it up in just a minute and show you again. Here is all of the cotton tape that I dyed blue. And here is a little piece. I just had a little piece that I cut off from a different technique. So I stuck a couple rubber bands on there tightly. And everywhere the indigo can't easily reach, it stays white. I like the fact that I dyed these 3 separate times, because I think what it does is it really helps it get in all the little crevices. So see that? Isn't that wonderful? And it still has little areas that it needs to get fully green. But that's what just scrunching it, putting a rubber band on it does. Now I'll show you this one again. See how it's getting more and more blue. The more the oxygen sneaks in. Isn't that fabulous? Okay, I'll put that aside. I have quite a few of these. And here are another piece that I did the accordion fold and put popsicle sticks on. And remember, the popsicle sticks, the color of the popsicle sticks kind of ran onto this. But let's see what we have. Oh, this is cool. Some of the little color from the popsicle stick stayed on where it's supposed to be white. Now I'm wondering if that color will last after I put them through the washing machine. They might not, because I have a feeling they're done with a non-toxic dye that probably doesn't stay that much. I'm sorry about all the lawn mowing going on around me. It's a summer Saturday. What can you do? But you see what I'm getting so far? Isn't that cool? All right, so 2 more to go, and then we can reveal. All right, here we go. Oh, this is wonderful. Look at this. Isn't that fantastic? I love that. I also saw this one from that YouTube in Thailand. So if you want to go on and see, it wasn't even the best film quality, but that didn't matter. I just wanted to see, I wanted to find new and different ways of doing resist. This was a plastic coated wire, and I did the accordion fold and then just wrap the plastic coated wire around the fabric. And look at this. That's really awesome. All right, let's do one of these resists. Gotta get the clamp off. Rubber bands off, and I just took some scrap plastic I had saved to use as a resist, because I could have bought plexiglass resist, but they would cost money. Oh, look at this. And as this is more oxygenated, the green areas will turn blue. So, oh, there's another row. I also will be cutting these up into 5-inch charm packs to sell. So, and it's $15 for one charm pack of 24 or 25 5-inch squares. Or if you get 2 charm packs, you get them for $25 plus shipping. Isn't that great? And as it sits here, it just oxidizes more and turns blue. So I love that. I've got to tell you. Now this one, I'm thinking I'll have to take this out later. It's got so much sewing on it. Let's do another resist. These with the clamp, because they really come out great. Oh, look at this. These were just little squares I cut out. But look at this. Now you know why indigo is magic to me. Look at this. Isn't this great? And they're all just a little different. I love that. Now, this will come out better once I have gotten all of the resist off. This has been done by Batik, by dipping wax and putting on designs. So that's what this is. So that will have to be washed and boiled, and the boiled water needs to go outside. You don't want the wax in your drain pipes. Here's another one. I took this resist off early so I could reuse the clamp. So this one has a circle on it. Just a piece of hard plastic, kind of hard, reasonably hard plastic. And see where it wasn't able to get oxygen, it stays green, and then it just starts turning blue in the light. Isn't that wonderful? The outer circles look like full moons. Aren't they wonderful? All right. Now, here is a scrunched up piece that I did on a glue stick. So let's see what this is going to look like. Thank goodness I bought a huge bag of rubber bands from Amazon, because boy did I need them. You go through a lot of rubber bands when you're doing the resist dyeing. Okay, ready? So this, it got rolled in a diagonal fashion on the glue stick, and then it got wrapped up. Now you know what I'm going to end up doing? I've heard of this before and I'm going to do it. I'm going to wrap it the opposite way so that this edge, and I'm going to re-dye this, so this edge will get the dye. But because look at that, isn't that wonderful? So I'm going to save this, and before I put the dye away, oh, look at this. Now this one's going to stay just like it is. I think this one just got scrunched up, and I think it's wonderful. That's terrific. And this is just, this was one of, I think, the glue resist, and I just don't think that the glue was able to last, because I just took rubber bands, put my finger in the fabric. Oh, look at this. Put my finger in the fabric, gathered it up with rubber bands around it. Okay, so I'm not going to take the time to take all of this out right now, but you get a chance to see all of the wonderful, wonderful circles that come off. You know what? This is so much fun to do and reveal. Let me try a little bit more. I can always fast forward when I edit the video. Okay. Once you get the hang of how to take the rubber bands off, it gets much easier. It's on, luckily I used an old pair of shoes and wore a black shirt and shorts so it wouldn't show up because it goes everywhere. And especially with the sodium hydrosulfite, you want to do it outside because it smells like a swamp. Look at this. But there is this one. Isn't that fun? All right. I wish you were here and we could be doing this together. I just have to pull off a few rubber bands on this one. Rubber bands are so good with resist because if you put them on tightly, oh boy, they will leave a nice white space behind. They are fantastic. Actually, dealing with this wet fabric feels nice because it's a hot day today. Mark has a wonderful fan turned on me. Thank you, Mark. Because, whew, I'm not sure I could be out here without it. All right, just a couple more. No wonder my hands have been sore this week. It's a lot of work. All right, ready for the reveal. And this is just a accordion folded and then gathered with rubber bands. And the accordion fold gives you the uniform look. When I do the accordion fold, I do it with my iron right there. And I make sure I keep it very neat and tidy because it'll give you better results. Now let me see if I was careful when I tied this rope together to do it so it would come out easily. So this is fabric that was rolled up onto a rope and then scrunched real tight. You know, you take the rope and tie it into a knot so it forms like a donut shape, and you scrunch it real tight, and this is going to be that design. And as usual, I usually fold, anytime I do a rolling technique, I roll it on the diagonal because it gives that much more interest. All right. Well, here we go. And here is this one. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful. Now this one, I'm not going to be able to show you the full effect until I peel off the hot glue. But when I peel off the hot glue, it leaves a light blue design. I was hoping it would leave a whiter, but I think if it doesn't go through the back, it's harder for it to have a truly white design effect. I'm going to peel off the glue on part of this so you'll be able to see it. So, and that's the thing, I've got to sit down at night when I'm watching TV and when it's dry and peel off the hot glue. But there you get the design. And this one, I did these little trees here, and I did clamshell here. And I think this one's definitely going to be worth the trouble and the glue sticks, because I think that's pretty good. Right there, it's all been peeled off. And I think that's pretty good. All right. Just a couple more left. This was just a random piece of fabric. Just 2 more. And the post to show you. Here is another clamp. Let me take this off. And these were just little unusual shapes. Nothing really. Oh, I love. This shows you what when the indigo has the oxygen removed, it comes out a Granny Smith green, a yellowy green. I'm going to lay this on the edge and come back in just a few minutes and you'll get to see how blue it becomes. Especially if I put it over here in the fan. Let me see if I can, well, I'll just hang it right back here. But look how much it's already changed. Isn't that awesome? All right, now with this one, I'm hoping this one is my favorite. So let me quickly take off all of these clothespins. If nothing else, you end up with beautifully blue clothespins. I love it. All right. It's a great way to make your clothespins gorgeous. All right, here we go. Look at this. Isn't this wonderful? Look at how dynamic this is. And it's just clothespins. Isn't that wonderful? It's just an accordion fold and clothespins. I absolutely love it. Love, love, love it. All right, and the last one. This is the one that I used little glass marbles held onto the fabric with tight rubber bands. Okay, we took out, Mark had to come help me. These rubber bands were killing my fingers. But are they worth it or what? Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? And depending on what size, what shape marble you put under, is whether it turns out round or a little bit more oblong. I love it. Then, remember when I showed you this and it was still green? Well, there it is. I just love that. A piece of plastic that was from a wrapper of something, some point in time. Now remember those fabrics that had a lot of white in them because it didn't reach all the way through? Well, while I was getting ready, trying to undo all of those marbles, I went ahead and put a quick little rubber band around this, and I just dipped it twice. So there is that, and that's kind of nice. Like I say, the white fabric is kind of boring, and I can always just add some regular white. So here is the other end of the one that I rolled on the piece of the hot glue stick. Isn't that great? So now I have more fabric that I really like. And one last one that I did really quick while I was just waiting. And I just twisted it and put rubber bands on it. So now I have a fully exciting piece. Now for the final reveal of the day, here is what's always my very favorite. Okay, and you remember that I took and rolled it and then scrunched it. Now I'm smoothing it out so I can find the center to unroll it. And here we go. I learned this time not to use such a big piece of fabric. Thank you, Mark. Not to use such a big piece of fabric because I want color all the way through. So this was a success. Look at this. Isn't that wonderful? So now what we're going to do is stop the camera, hang them all up, and then stand back and look at all of our hard work. I'll be right back. Here is today's successes. I think they are just gorgeous. I can't wait to work with these. It was a great day. I'll show you them later after they've been washed and dried. Now we're taking items out of the soaking bucket. Now, when I take these out, I give them a good squeeze to get the oxygen and excess water out of it. Then I put it down in the bucket. My daughter Becky, takes and opens them and gently swishes them below the water level. We don't want to add any oxygen.
Can you unfold them before you squeeze them? Because it's very hard to unfold.
Oh, good point. Becky asked me to unfold them before I squeeze them because she's having a hard time trying to keep her hands under the water surface so as not to add much oxygen. So I'm going to open these out. It's hard to, I should have made sure when I put them in the thing. And I squeeze it and kind of keep them squeezed together until we get them. Here are some that the resist is the fold and clothespins and a rubber band. And here's another resist. Be careful with this. If you touch cardboard, it'll come apart. I've used some cardboard, but I'm not sure how that's going to do because it's probably getting a little soft. But we'll see. And here is a scrunching technique that Becky did on glue stick. The dyes that I showed you earlier have been dipped twice, and some of them we might leave like that. This dye has been very receptive today, so we're getting really good color. I'm trying not to splatter any water into the dye bath. Just this, keeping it in this rinse bucket. No wonder you were having trouble.
I think some may still be folded in there, so maybe an effect that we didn't intend.
Yeah, might be cool. These are some fabrics that I tried marbling a while back, and for whatever reason the dye washed out too much. So I thought, hey, let's bring them back for the indigo and see what we get. But we enjoy this. It's like I said, it stays pretty busy because you only keep the fabrics in the dye about a minute or two. Now, this is why you have to have your fabric prepared before you get ready to dye, because you don't have time to do all the complex folding while you're trying to get this into the dye bucket. So have everything prepared. The dyeing is the last thing you'll do. All right. So now, when Becky takes this out, she's going to put it into that bucket to sit. I'm going to take the previously dyed items, put them in the rinse bucket. We let them sit and develop in the oxygen without rinsing them first. You'll notice how bright of a green they come out with. And then within just a few minutes, that's a very well tended vat. It's doing perfectly. And it's mostly due to Becky not swishing and introducing oxygen. This is Jacquard dyeing. Jacquard pre-reduced indigo dye. And here is
is. The company logo. I've been very, very happy with this.
I'm going to get out of the way before I fully turn blue. But I hope you have enjoyed today's indigo dyeing. Oh, hi! I'm so glad you stopped by today. I'm just doing a little indigo dyeing. Welcome to Deb's Crazy House.